Hello everyone, welcome back to the Budget Sportsman. Thank you so much for joining me on today's video. Today we're going to be taking a look at the 16-inch boot from TideWe. About 3.5, almost 4 years ago now, I made a review of this pair of boots. And at that time, I'd only been wearing them maybe about a month or so, but I really enjoyed them and gave them a positive review. Now, 4 years later, I've put a lot more miles on them and they are starting to wear out and it was time to replace them. So I thought this would be the perfect opportunity to give you more of that long-term review, show you how they held up, show you where they failed, and talk a little bit about my experience with them. Now, before I get any further into it, I do want to mention that TideWe did send me these boots for free originally, and they were kind enough to send me a replacement now through my relationship with them and this YouTube channel. They don't pay me or tell me what to say in these videos, but they do send me free gear from time to time, and I do receive a commission if you use my coupon code, which is TBS18. That stands for the Budget Sportsman 18%, which is how much you're going to save on pretty much any product on TideWe's website if you use that coupon code. Now, even though I do receive that small commission, I'm going to do my very best to give you a fair and unbiased review and share my experiences with you. So first, let me talk a little bit about how I actually have used these boots. First of all, and the most basic way, is these boots live right inside my back door, and anytime I go outside the house to maybe just do some really quick yard work, or maybe I need to take something out to my shed, or I'm going to take the compost out or take the trash out, these are the boots that I'm going to slip on. Just super easy to slip on and off if I just need to go outside the house really quickly. Of course, that doesn't put a lot of miles on the boots, but I have put a lot of miles on these boots in times like spring turkey season, and these are perfect. When you got a lot of dew on the ground in spring season, you want something that's going to keep your feet dry, and these work perfectly for that. But for me and my foot, these have been totally fine to put on quite a number of miles when you're moving a lot in turkey season. Totally fine. I've used these for summertime trout fishing down in the streams as well. I don't tend to wear a lot of hip waders for the streams that I fish, and these are really great for just keeping my feet dry when I'm in and around the stream, some wet areas, and often putting a lot of miles on to get to the stream and up and down the stream. And then I also use them for fall deer season as well in the early part of the season here before it gets too cold here in central Pennsylvania. So speaking of the cold, I would just say that these boots work really well in the spring. Summer, any boot of this style to me is kind of hot in the summer, but these are relatively light in that regard. And then they work well for me here in Pennsylvania in the early season when it's fairly warm or moderate temperatures. Once we get into late October, early November, and the temperatures start dropping, getting down into the 40s, 30s, 20s, at that point, I typically end up moving to a heavier boot. Now, I've said I put a lot of miles on these. I don't want to imply that these are the only boots I've worn over the course of the last 4 deer seasons and turkey seasons that I've been using these, because I do own some hiker boots. I own some other insulated rubber boots, a number of different things that I use. So these are not my only boots that I've been wearing for 4 years, but I have worn these a lot, probably just about as much as any other boots except maybe my hikers. I want to show you how they've held up over the past 4 years. And this here is my left boot. And interestingly enough, if both boots looked like the left boot, I probably would be expecting to get a few more seasons out of them. I've had boots in the past that failed right here where your foot bends. There is no sign of failure right around there. There's no cracks in the rubber. The insole is not pulling off from the boot, or the outsole here is not pulling away from the boot. Everything looks really good. The biggest area of wear is right here where your leg bends the neoprene across the top of this rubber. And you can feel that it's creasing the neoprene a little bit, but there's no real issues. As far as I know, I've not noticed any leaks. And the biggest thing is that the camouflage material here is like pulling away from the neoprene where there is that wearing. The tread on the bottom, it's all caked with grass right now, but there's still plenty of tread left. No issues of wearing through the bottom or losing tread, too much tread gone to be able to still have traction. Unfortunately, the right foot has not fared quite as well. Same thing, no issues on the lower part of the boot at all. Really, the wear here on this boot and the failure point is in the neoprene upper. Again, that same place where that boot bends, you can probably see right here that neoprene is actually torn. And I'm not sure if maybe I got in some thorns or if that's just all completely from wearing and bending. But that is, again, the material's pulled away, but more importantly than that, underneath the material, the neoprene is actually completely cracked And I did step in a stream the other day just to see if that was letting water in, and yes, it's letting a good bit of water in right there. Now on the back side of the boot right here, same kind of a thing, that wear point where it's going to bend, it has cracked. This rubber strip coming up is completely cracked off, the neoprene is cracked, and pretty much there's a complete hole. I can see, looking down in there, I can see light coming through there, and that's going to be a leak point as well. Again, it's unfortunate because this boot has held up significantly better. What's the difference? I don't know if I walk differently with my right foot. I don't know if, just manufacturing one boot was not done quite as well as the other. I really don't know. But I can tell you that, again, this boot held up really well, and I would expect to get a couple more seasons out of this boot. This boot is pretty much done if you really want dry feet, but the lower is good, so if you're just walking through short grass and so forth, this boot would still give you quite a bit more time and miles out of it. But if you want to get in, some deeper water or taller grass and you really want to make sure you're completely dry, then it is time to replace this boot. Again, I already mentioned these boots, kind of their temperature rating would be for that moderate temperature. For me, I find this pair of boots to be incredibly comfortable. I mentioned that in my original review, and they fit really well. I've compared them in the past to the Muck Chore boot, and I found these boots personally for my foot to be much more comfortable than the Muck Chore boot. And that should bring us actually probably to the price. I went back and watched my old review video from 4 years ago to see how much the price has increased over the last 4 years. And the truth is, the price is exactly the same. These boots range around $80 to $90 depending on your size. Of course, I'm a size 12, and so being the bigger size means I'm going to pay the larger price there of about $90. Again, if you do use my coupon code TBS18, that's going to save you 18%. That's about a $16 price difference, bringing you down to about $74. So that's a pretty good price, in my opinion, for a boot of this style, especially one that's going to last you this long. I've bought cheaper boots before, and they only really lasted me one season. So $74, $75 for a boot that's going to last 4 seasons of some pretty significant use, I think is pretty good. Again, they fit my foot better than some of the other boots as well. Overall, some of the things that I have appreciated about the boot is, of course, the durability. They've lasted well, the comfort. They've got good grip on the bottom here. I've never had any issues with slipping and sliding. Always felt like they had good traction. Another thing is they've got a really nice, generous heel toe grab here where you can pull your heel off with your other toe, and that has really been comfortable as well and very easy to use. Again, I mentioned I slip these on and off a lot going in and out of the house, and I found them very easy to get on and off. You're not fighting with them at all. Overall, my review really remains largely the same as what I gave 4 years ago, is that I still really love these boots, and I'm honestly not disappointed in 4 years of use out of them. Do I wish that maybe this boot had held up like the other one and I had gotten a few more years? Yeah, of course I do. But the reality is 4 years out of a boot of that price point, I think is pretty good. Again, if you are interested in picking up these boots, I'll leave a link down in the description, and don't forget to use that coupon code TBS18. If you have any questions about the boots, leave them down in the comments and I'll do my very best to answer your questions. Hope you enjoyed the video. Until next time, remember to get off YouTube and get outdoors into God's great creation.